Good evening. I'm Shelley Drucker. I'm fortunate enough to be the 7th president of Fairleigh Dickinson University, and welcome to another evening of WAMFest. This campus is a special place to be. It was a spring and fall home to the family of Florence Vanderbilt and Hamilton Twombly, and that's over my left shoulder. That's the Ham and Florham right there. And I'm looking out over Florence, who's on the other side of this room. And a lot of this room has been decorated just like it was when the Twombleys were here, and we've had the help of some really fine people who are the Friends of Florham, and I really thank the Friends of Florham for this room and so many things to go on, and I've presented to you in the Great Hall and other rooms and the garden, the Italian gardens out there. Tonight is, again, another event of WAMFest, Words and Music Festival. Just tell a little bit more about Fairleigh Dickinson University. This is one of 4 campuses. We have another campus that straddles Teaneck and Hackensack in Bergen County. We refer to that as the Metropolitan Campus. And we have 2 campuses outside the country, one in Oxfordshire, England. We call that the Roxton College. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And we have a relatively young campus in Vancouver, British Columbia, who I think we're in our 8th year there at this point in time. And it's wonderful that Fairleigh Dickinson, in every community that we're in, gets involved with the community. There are a number of people who have not been to the university before that are here today. I see quite a few faculty members and some students and some people who are just friends of FDU, and I'm so glad to have you here. But it wouldn't be here we wouldn't be here tonight if it wouldn't have been for one of our fantastic faculty members. Students love him. He's an incredible person, and he's really responsible for this for the last several years. And so without further ado, David Daniels is our guy here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, President Drucker, and thanks so much, everyone, for coming. I'm going to thank a lot of people. I want to thank the university for its continued support and the great people at Morris Arts whose work helps to support not only us, but an amazing variety of artists throughout the community. And our newest supporter, Investors Bank. We're really thrilled and grateful to have the greater community involved with this. And I'd like to especially thank Bob and Patricia Puras here. Their ongoing generosity has kept WAMFest alive over the last several years, and it simply wouldn't happen without them. And I can't tell you how personally grateful I am to you both for keeping this vision alive. Finally, I want to thank the great team some of the great team who brought this together. Thank you, Mary Kaiser and Barbara Dawson, for all you've done. And Kim Dennison, well, you're simply amazing. Where are you, Kim? Thank you so much. The number of details involved in putting together a series of events like this is just, it's mind-bending. And she dealt with them brilliantly and gracefully and with her great heart always open. It's been a joy and a privilege, Kim. And for those of you who might not know, this is actually the 8th year of WAMFest. It's amazing to me. And over that time, we've hosted more than 40 of the most important, innovative, and influential artists in the world, and all from a variety of fields in the arts. And all with the hope of exploring some common ground among them and encouraging collaboration among them. There's nothing else quite like it on the planet except for people who've copied it. The scoundrels, I call them. I'm teasing. But I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to bring this to FDU. And it's thrived thanks to so many of you here. And tonight, we really couldn't have a more spectacular manifestation of what WAMFest is all about than we have tonight. Thanks so much for honoring us guys out in the hall who are about to come in. It's amazing. And on a personal note, I want to thank Jay Maybarizo, in particular. J. May is not only my favorite young poet and my dear friend, but she's the one who helped to bring this all together tonight. Wesley Stace, the celebrated novelist and songwriter, once known also as John Wesley Harding, our host and dear friend since the beginning. Where'd you go? Wes is here. He'll be coming on at the end of the program to host a Q&A. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our grand finale. Please welcome J. May Barizo, Paul Cantillon, Salman Rushdie, and the American String Quartet.
from the ground beneath her feet. Why do we care about singers? Wherein lies the power of songs? Maybe it derives from the sheer strangeness of their being singing in the world. The note, the scale, the chord, melodies, harmonies, arrangements, symphonies, ragas, Chinese operas, jazz, the blues, that such things should exist. That we should have discovered the magical intervals and distances that yield the poor cluster of notes all within the span of a human hand, from which we can build our cathedrals of sound, is as alchemical a mystery as mathematics or wine or love. Maybe the birds taught us, maybe not. Maybe we are just creatures in search of exaltation. We don't have much of it. Our lives are not what we deserve. They are, let us agree, in many painful ways, deficient. Song turns them into something else. Song shows us a world that is worthy of our yearning. It shows us ourselves as we might be if we were worthy of the world. For a long time, I have believed that in every generation there are a few souls, call them lucky or cursed, who are simply born not belonging, who come into the world semi-detached, if you like, without strong affiliation to family or location or nation or race. That there may even be millions, billions of such souls, as many non-belongers as belongers, perhaps, that in some the phenomenon may be as natural a phenomenon, and not as natural a manifestation of human nature as its opposite, but one that has been mostly frustrated throughout human history by lack of opportunity. And not only by that, for those who value stability, who fear transience, uncertainty, change, have erected a powerful system of stigmas and taboos against rootlessness, that disruptive antisocial force, so that we mostly conform. We pretend to be motivated by loyalties and solidarities we do not really feel. We hide our secret identities behind the false skins of those identities which bear the belonger's seal of approval. But the truth leaks out in our dreams. Alone in our beds, because we are all alone at night, even if we do not sleep by ourselves. We soar, we fly, we flee. And in the waking dreams our societies permit, in our myths, our arts, our songs, we celebrate the non-belongers, the different ones, the outlaws, the freaks. What we forbid ourselves, we pay good money to watch in a playhouse or movie theater, or to read about between the secret covers of a book. Our libraries, our palaces of entertainment tell the truth. The tramp, the assassin, the rebel, the thief, the mutant, the outcast, the delinquent, the devil, the sinner, the traveler, the gangster, the runner, the mask. If we did not recognize in them our least fulfilled needs, we would not invent them over and over again, in every place, in every language, in every time. No sooner did we have ships than we rushed to sea, sailing across oceans in paper boats. No sooner did we have cars than we hit the road. No sooner did we have airplanes than we zoomed to the furthest corners of the globe. Now we yearn for the moon's dark side, the rocky plains of Mars, the rings of Saturn, the interstellar deeps. We send mechanical photographers into orbit or on one-way journeys to the stars, and we weep at the wonders they transmit. We are humbled by the mighty images of far-off galaxies standing like cloud pillars in the sky, and we give names to alien rocks as if they were our pets. We hunger for warp space, for the outlying rim of time. And this is the species that kids itself. It likes to stay home, to bind itself with, what are they called again, ties. That's my view. You don't have to buy it. Maybe there aren't so many of us after all. Maybe we are disruptive and antisocial and shouldn't be allowed. You're entitled to your opinion. All I will say is, sleep soundly, baby. Sleep tight and sweet dreams.
A hindsight of blood. The sill with its speck of ash. Who smoked there? Tea on the lip as a forgetting of another endeavor. Red, aligning quietly on the eaves or beneath the skin. Articulate, articulate. The dream of the wheel, bird sounds, red of the hip, like a wrist corsage. Snow under the hand, a different kind of muteness. Someone you once belonged to, the lines smudged. In the other memory, the severed arm speaks. In the other memory, it is as silent as snow. In the transient form, everything is subject to question. A tilt, a bruise. Later on, the killing time. To outgrow your own hand, you must stop clasping. Held in the clock sway, the hand becomes tired of so much secrecy. Sooner or later, the hand will be nowhere to be found. Next to your eye, a door. Next to your door, a vestibule. Next to your vestibule, it opens. Now, give me your mouth. In the study of distance, everything meets the eye as pool blue. A cool light, undecided, comes over the mountain. The cloud-swift sky unbuttons. Everything remembers everything.
from the Enchantress of Florence. There is a weakness that comes over men at the battle's end, when they become aware of the fragility of life. They clutch it to their bosoms like a crystal bowl they almost dropped. And the treasure of life scares away their courage. At such a time, all men are cowards and can think of nothing but women's embraces, nothing but the healing words only women can whisper, nothing but the joy of losing themselves in the fatal labyrinth of love. In the grip of this weakness, a man will do things which unravel his best laid plans. He can make promises which change his future. So it was that Shah Ismail of Persia drowned in the 17-year-old princess's black eyes. the need for a woman to cure the loneliness of murder, the emperor said, remembering, to wipe away the guilt of victory or the vain glory of defeat, to still the tremble in the bones, to dry the hot tears of relief and shame, to hold you while you feel the ebbing tide of your hatred and its replacement by a form of higher embarrassment, to sprinkle you with lavender to hide the scent of blood on the fingertips and the gore stinking in the beard. The need for a woman to tell you that you are hers and to turn your mind away from death, to quell your curiosity about how it might be to stand at the judgment seat, to take away your envy of those who have gone before you, to see the Almighty plain, and to soothe the doubts twisting in your stomach about the existence of the afterlife and even of God himself. Because the slain are so utterly dead, and no higher purpose seems to exist at all.
Because everything that was said was a blade edge. Somewhere the night turned down its leaves on the season, amethyst or indigo in its veins, the two-fisted foliage. Trees so fastidious about their beauty, still green. The lights winking in Sennefelder Platz. Down the alleyways someone was walking towards or turning away, a monochrome grace. Deception. In that picture, she still had scars. That's me in silver and black. I am poised on the stool with my head tilted just right. The violists at my back, our hair entwined, dark against gold. And the cellist, his smug half grin and the way he leans, his legs open as if there was a cello there or a girl. There are two more of them in the picture sitting at my feet, violinists who look like sisters, their knees pulled to their breasts. And we all have a certain smile, like we know, as if just because they play Shostakovich like dark angels, it means they can be intimate with other things the audience could never dream up, no matter how convincingly they play. No matter how Naomi's face contorts in the third movement, or how loving she is with the keys one moment, suicidal the next. The night of the concert, they buy tinsel stars and twist them into their hair. Depending on the light, their faces will probably shine. From their angle, these arms are strong. We sound like angels. The ear has no point of view. They cannot shut their earlids. They must hear us. We shine. That is all they have to know. Blue as in corridor, the motor of the day ground down beneath the foot, as in Beethoven, no earth sounds. How tardy always, how sought after, desire like a ribbon wedded to the heel, pulling fast when lids fall. Morning was but a code for leaving and taking, taking and leaving. Blue like blood, or guard me from it. Cloud light. Own me. Now that the concert has ended, I'm myself again, the silence having broken the last movement's allegro so I can breathe regularly without the stage's duplicities. The thunder of the low strings waning, the timpani's last hurrah. Melodies lost now to the undeserving, and my first desire swimming back to me, to see myself through an audience's eyes. Their mere gaze undoes me, a top button there and my black garb pulled over the X of my arms, a run in the pantyhose, and their stare there to mark it. Who knows what they say when they walk out the foyer in their haze of sentences and cigarette smoke, bantering about Bartok and bow strokes, even as a moth hovers in the spotlight, falters, and thrashes in its last goodbye. Some kind of goodness in the incongruity, but they'll never know us more intimately than when we shared with them all our petty understatements, fingers against the string. Look now, I've perspired for your pithy pleasure. Without asking, you have owned me. Take this unearned prize.
Disorientation is loss of the East. Ask any navigator, the East is what you sail by. Lose the East, and you lose your bearings, your certainties, your knowledge of what is and what may be, perhaps even your life. Where was that star you followed to that manger? That's right. The East orients. That's the official version. The language says so. And you should never argue with the language. But let's just suppose. What if the whole deal, orientation, knowing where you are and so on, what if it's all a scam? What if all of it, home, kinship, the whole enchilada is just the biggest, most truly global and centuries oldest piece of brainwashing? Suppose that it's only when you dare to let go that your real life begins. When you're whirling free of the mothership, when you cut your ropes, slip your chain, step off the map, go absent without leave, scram, vamoose, whatever. Suppose that it's then and only then that you're actually free to act, to lead the life nobody tells you how to live, or when or why, in which nobody orders you to go forth and die for them, or for God, or comes to get you because you broke one of the rules, or because you're one of those people who are, for reasons which unfortunately you can't be given, simply not allowed. Suppose you've got to go through the feeling of being lost, into the chaos and beyond. You've got to accept the loneliness, the wild panic of losing your moorings, the vertiginous terror of the horizon spinning round and round like the edge of a coin tossed in the air. You won't do it. Most of you won't do it. The world's head laundry is pretty good at washing brains. Don't jump off that cliff. Don't walk through that door. Don't step into that waterfall. Don't take that chance. Don't step across that line. Don't ruffle my sensitivities. I'm warning you now. Don't make me mad. You're doing it. You're making me mad. You won't have a chance. You haven't got a prayer. You're finished. Your history. You're less than nothing. You're dead to me. Dead to your whole family. Your nation, your race, everything you ought to love more than life and listen to like your master's voice and follow blindly and bow down before and worship and obey. You're dead. You hear me? Forget about it, you stupid bastard. I don't even know your name. But just imagine you did it. You stepped off the edge of the earth or through the fatal waterfall. And there it was, the magic valley at the end of the universe, the blessed kingdom of the air. Great music everywhere. You breathe the music. In and out, it's your element now. It feels better than belonging in your lungs. Veena was the first of us to do it, almost jumped second, and I, as usual, brought up the rear. And we can argue all night about why did we jump or were we pushed. But you can't deny we all did it. We three kings of disorient were. And I'm the only one who lived to tell the tale.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't know how long, David Daniel mentioned how many years it was we've been doing WAMFest. We've never been presented with such an entire and beautiful performance program. So firstly, thank you very much for that. What I'd like to, the piece is called Memory Palace. I'm at the moment addressing generally because I don't actually know who this question's for. But all I know about memory palaces are that I once read a book about a guy's name was Ricci, that's all I remember, and he went to China, and in order to impress the Chinese with the superiority of Western culture, he did a lot of memory tricks, and he could remember things by making a palace in his mind. It was a great book. I remember exactly where I was when I read it. I want to know, so that the audience can know, who came up with the idea. I don't even know who to address the question to. There's here we have music by Paul Cantillon, which is from Salmon's novel, The Enchantress of Florence. We have poetry, we have the American String Quartet, I suppose, curating pieces that they want to play as part of the evening's entertainment. So what I want to know is who, shall I ask you, Salmon, where did it begin? What's it all about? Where are we?
Yeah, the Memory Palace is there's a bit in The Enchantress of Florence about that, and it is, as you say, it's a memory trick.
Right.
You basically imagine a house. You imagine it doesn't have to be a palace. You imagine a very familiar place. You imagine a house that you know very, very well. And then in your mind, you walk through that house. And as you walk through it, you put memories onto places that you know. You put a memory onto a chair, or a table, or a chest of drawers, or in a closet, or whatever. And then, once you've done that, in future, whenever you walk through that house in your mind, those memories will be in that place. So it becomes a way of remembering things by putting them in physical places. In your mind.
And I'll tell you, it works, because after I read the book, it's the only way that I know all the plays of Shakespeare in order.
Yeah.
Because I did it via that method.
So let nobody say that art is not useful.
Yes.
But that's where it started from, and then Paul read the book and wrote this piece of music that came from it, and it sort of followed on from there. You want to say something?
Yeah, what I'd like to know about the piece of music, we heard just the excerpt there. How long would or is the piece of music that you've based on that?
This is, it's such a privilege for, in every way to be amongst you all and to hear it played so just wonderfully from me, the American String Quartet. That was
I fear you might be technically behind a lampshade.
Oh, sorry. I can story of my life.
That's why I'm here.
I was rather enjoying that lampshade.
That's the technical term, behind the lampshade.
The piece is called Behind the Lampshade. And just to tell, because I mustn't waffle on, I've been so moved by this wonderful performance and with Salman and May, and then enough of my gushing. But this is a work in progress, so it's in a very vulnerable state. And this piece is an excerpt from a passage that I love, where our enchantress decides to stay with really the man who's rescued her, who is Shah Ismail, the king of Persia, and becomes her consort. And thus it's this beautiful exchange between them, and then his internal thoughts following in the second passage. But it all started, I'll just tell you quickly, and then I'll explain how it began, that I was on a job that was sort of horrid in LA, and I don't drive, and I was living in a motel court, which was incredibly dismal, in Glendale. And mercifully, it was 2 years after The Enchantress had come out, and I had this copy with me. And I was like going back and forth between Denny's and the motel room and having a horrible time on this unmentionable job. And I opened the book and read that in the last light of day, this is our hero who's coming to Sikri, to the great Mughal city, which is, of course, actually a real city, extraordinarily. And as he approaches the fading light of day, he looks at the glowing lake, which is like a molten sea of gold. And I just was wonderfully just drawn in and seduced by this opening line and lost myself, and really helped me through my wretched scribblings on the job. So this is a work in progress, which will be different passages that have so inspired. And I didn't mean to give such a long answer, but I wanted to tell why.
Not at all. But do you see the piece finally being, say, an hour-long piece with
Yes.
Salman reading and someone playing the music with him and next to him?
And really, truly I do, in homage to Salman's work, the American String Quartet, their interpretation, which they brought it to life. And it's a great privilege, and an enormous privilege to have this sneak preview amongst you brave souls.
It's wonderful for us. Now, so you also, though, there is a link here because you accompanied May for the piece that
Yes.
she played. So is that's another, it's a separate thing from the Enchantress of Florence, obviously, but it's part of tonight's program. So how is it all fitting
That's-
together for both of you?
Thank you for asking that, because that's very much equally a great privilege. I'm a great fan of May's work, and to accompany the Killing Time in these excerpts was a concept that we had in it, and that May very beautifully directed. So that again was such a privilege for me. So
May, let me ask you this roughly the same question.
Yes, I think for us, this entire project, the Memory Palace this evening, it really is our exploration of the intersections between geography and memory. Just as how you said, I read the same book.
Yeah, it's a
actually.
good book, that book.
And in 1596, Matteo Ricci, he brought the Memory Palace to China. And both Salman's and my work, I think it really deals strongly with how memory is triggered by certain locations in the world and in geography. And so we try to choose music that also elicited this viscerality of memory and experience in our audience. Ravel, you can really feel the French, the modal kind of harmonies that he has. Shostakovich, very visceral, very raw. And so we try to create this whole kind of mood of the Memory Palace.
So, and so the music, the Ravel and the Shostakovich and the Beethoven we heard, that's specially put together for this evening?
Just for this evening, yes.
Fantastic. Well, it was, what I'd like to do is, I don't want to surprise you all, but, if there's a couple of questions before we leave for the evening, we could do it. I was very, you can relax, I'll just talk for a second. But I was very struck by the way that when the mind is making links between things, which is, I suppose, the idea of the Memory Palace to begin with, which was a familiar idea to me, but how everything does begin to cohere. Ravel and Beethoven and, put together into an artfully made program. It's a lovely thing. Does anybody have a question to ask?
It's done on purpose.
I suppose you tried.
It was supposed to be like that.
Fantastic. But of course you've done it hundreds of times before. Oh no, this is only the first. Well, how could you know? You must be artists. Anybody? But yes, sir. I'll restate the question. So.
A question about the Ravel, the first one. All music has rhythm. What is très rythmé? What does that mean?
It's simply a reminder from the composer about the kind of precision that he wants, because both the structure of that movement and its wit rely on cross accents. That is to say, he writes a meter which is 6/8, which can be obviously divided into 2 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 2. And he alternates between those throughout the movement. And if you don't pay attention to that, you don't get the joke.
It's very rare that questions are dealt with so succinctly at WAMFest. That may be a first. Not tonight, so far. Yes, please.
I was wondering if any of you had heard that a little over a week ago there was a Nobel Prize in Medicine awarded to scientists who actually figured out that there is a physical connection between memory and location. They actually found that animals, and that includes us, have a physical map in our brains, so memory is directly connected to location. So I don't know if there's a way to work that in, but we just found that out.
Well, of course they did know that.
I've always felt that that particular Nobel Prize should have gone to me.
Yes. If only they'd had the Nobel Prize in 15, whatever it was. A very good point. Anybody else got any very good points? Yeah.
It's not a question, but I was wondering why you chose to read from...
Why sounds just like a question.
I'm fudging. You chose to read more from the ground beneath our feet than the Enchantress of Florence.
The answer is because it's about music.
So-
Salman.
Wes, thank you very much. I wanted to give the answer to that.
As well.
So, my guess is because that should be the Wham novel this year, The Ground Beneath Our Feet, because it is an intersection between words and music. Am I wrong?
Well, you see, there's two things going on. One is that Paul is writing this piece of music because of his relationship to the Enchantress of Florence, and so that's what that's about. But that's not the only thing that this evening's been about, and the reason I wanted to read from The Ground Beneath Her Feet is, apart from other things, that one of my great prides about that book is how many musicians have liked it. You know, it's a book about music written by somebody who can't play an instrument or sing a note. There was a moment when I was invited, it's a long time ago now, the moment when I was invited on stage at Wembley Stadium with U2. And my teenage son, my then teenage son, as I was going up to stage, said, "Dad, just don't sing." Just to tease him, I said, well, you know, why not? I'm going to have a microphone in this Irish band. They're quite good. So you know, maybe I'll sing. And he said, "Dad, you don't understand. If you sing, I'll have to kill myself." And so I didn't sing. But I've been very proud of the fact that so many people who are musicians have found something truthful about this book, you know, and so it seemed appropriate in the company of these wonderful musicians, you know, to read a bit of it.
One last question before we head into the darkness. Sir, back there.
Hi. My question is about the creative process. You have been blessed with remarkable creativity at an early age. Now, as you grow older, how does the creative process work for you now, as opposed to when you were younger?
Everyone's getting older.
But Mr. Rushdie in particular.
Ask May.
She's still young.
Who's fielding that one?
I don't know, it just gets better.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a magnificent, magnificent climax to probably the best WAMFest yet, Words and Music Festival 2014. I'm going to draw the curtain down on it. Please thank Salman Rushdie, Paul Cantillon, May Barizo, and the American String Quartet. Thank you very much.